Ready to explore the cutting edge of digital infrastructure? I'm Carrie Charles, your host of Let's Get Digital. Join me as we dive into the ideas, technologies, and leaders transforming the way we connect, from wireless telecom to fiber networks, data centers, and beyond. Sponsored by Broadstaff in partnership with RCR Wireless News. Now, let's dive in and let's get digital. Thanks for joining me today on Let's Get Digital. I'm Carrie Charles, your host, and I am really excited about my guest today. I have followed his journey now since I've been in the industry for over 10 years. So my guest today is Dan Leaf. He is the founder and CEO of Gugli, a visionary entrepreneur building technology that is reshaping public safety and smarter infrastructure. Thank you, Dan. I'm so excited for this conversation.
I am too, Carrie. Thanks for having me, and look forward to jumping in this with you.
Let's do it. But first, I do want you to tell your story. Like I said, I've known you for over 10 years, and you're just such an inspiration to me. Everything you've accomplished, and now what you're doing to really make a difference in the world. So fill us in. Tell us about Dan's journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And likewise, Carrie, I think just watching your journey has been just as inspiring to me. So it's been fun to kind of collaborate together. But my professional journey has really been shaped by entrepreneurship. I'm in a space that I think's evolved so much in the last 20 years. Between cellular, public safety technology, it's where I landed with my career, just as these systems were becoming available and kind of coming to market. iPhone was first put out by AT&T, and then we can look as it evolved over the last 15, 20 years. I started my career and my journey building out and scaling companies as an integrator in the space, really designing and deploying critical infrastructure systems and communications. And those two companies were really more transactional model. We were able to scale quickly, had a couple successful exits. But what I took away from those is the phase through those companies is how to really execute in the field. It's not a lot of room for error. So over that period of time as an integrator, I started seeing bigger issues. So we started installing critical communication systems, but there's very little visibility whether these systems were actually working when it mattered most. So it was very critical to have these systems tested before occupancy, but after the red tape was cut, they were often forgot about. And so that's what really led me to Gugli, where we're at today, and really looking at the mission. And it's pretty simple for us, is helping save lives by ensuring these first responder systems communicate during emergencies. So, instead of deploying these systems now, we're building a platform that continuously monitors these critical systems, because failures in these systems just aren't a technical issue. It's really the consequences of a liability, but more importantly, the life safety and why these systems are deployed. So that's really the journey that's brought me here, and it's been a fun one as the market's evolved.
Yes, and I know you're up to really big things now with Gugli. Let's go into a little bit more detail about what you're doing at Gugli. Like, I know that you're developing new technology. There's just so much happening. So tell us more about the product and the service.
Yeah, what really sparked was through the Leaf Communications days. We were putting these systems, like I mentioned, and I remember thinking after we deployed these don't make much sense. After they're deployed we're talking about systems that first responders rely on, and then essentially flying blind. And so that's really where Gugli was built to solve that exact problem. We saw a shift in the industry from a one-time installation mindset to continuous awareness, and it was a gap that we identified years ago. So we created a platform that monitors these critical communication systems in real time. So building owners, operators, first responders, anybody part or associated with those systems actually know these systems are functioning when it matters most. And so, what makes this meaningful for me is not just the efficiency play or a cost play, but it's reliability in the moments that count. So firefighter walks into a building, communication has to work. There's no margin for error. So the founding story really came directly from being in the trenches, seeing the gaps, and deciding to build something that would actually fix this gap and use some innovation, some technology. So we're really bringing hardware and software to this model and trying to make it more automated to give real-time insight to these systems that are deployed everywhere.
So there's been a mandate in New York that I know that you have been involved with, and also I think, it's going to mean something for Gugli. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so New York, we've been part of that process for them looking at their new fire code. So about 2014 is the last time they've updated their fire code. And that really derived from Gugli's story. 9/11 happened, the World Trade Towers in 93 happened, and you can see that these systems were you learned a lot about these systems after these incidents happened. So if you look at 2014 to now, the fire department's done a good job of seeing, okay, where areas they're failing, where can we make our system stronger? They don't follow the traditional NFPA 72 code. They basically write this code for themselves in the New York market. And so what they've done is now put together a mandate that will start to require monitoring, and that will be released soon. January 1, 27 is when it'll become in effect. But we've put together a long program with them to be able to walk into a building and visually and digitally see the health of these systems at the fire department level. The way these systems are deployed is when you get on site, within a minute or 5 minutes of a fire, there could be 1,000 men getting on site. So these systems have to be they're working not within minutes or hours, but seconds. And so New York has been down that road of testing and deploying these systems, being able to make sure that they're monitored correctly. But beyond that now is what happens if something's wrong with it when an incident doesn't happen. So now Gugli is really driving the force behind how these recognize up in the cloud and how these are pushed through to whether the maintenance contractor for that property, that building, or through the FDNY knock of saying, hey, this isn't a true alarm that could have some real consequences. So there's some action plans behind that. And so, we expect what New York is doing to go across the country. It's really slick, but it's been very, very powerful to watch them see the need to real-time communications, see what our mission is constantly and what our vision is and what we're driving for, and then seeing it reciprocated back in the market to where they see the value in making sure these systems are working when they need to be.
So what is NFPA? Is it 1225? And
so NFPA, so that's 1225, the latest edition. 27 is being written and probably pretty close to being finalized. That will be released, and it'll start to be mandated in January 1 of 27. Part of these systems are archaic. They've been around for 50 years. They've been built slowly and evolved slowly over time in real world scenarios, but not a lot of forward thinking. And so we're seeing a lot of language being entered into the code that supports what our mission is, and that's making sure there's more control over these systems. They're automated. They can see real-time alerts. As thousands of buildings are deployed, that means thousands of systems are deployed. There's also an impact to the network. So how are these things showing noise? How are they impacting in a different way than just at the building, but maybe at the network level? So NFPA, as we understand it, and will be released soon, is going to really push that need to say, hey, the licensee and the jurisdictions needs more control. It needs to be able to see any issues arise, and then a corrective action down to the detailed location of where that problem is, and giving those tools to be able to do that versus the traditional way could take a month to figure out problems, right? So
what other use cases are there? I think I talked to you a while back and you said there's also use cases in schools. I mean, you are really creating something, or you have created something that's going to make a massive impact in our safety.
Yeah, I think, the use cases are endless. We can look at the integrator contractor pool and we give them a tool to have better ways of supporting their clients and these systems, because it's more of a proactive model. If you look at the enterprise or building level, school districts are starting to realize the need for these communication systems. They're realizing the need to be able to have real-time data coming out of them. Data centers are the same way, high rises, schools, hospitals. And we talk a lot about first responder signal. But you look at a hospital, a lot of their primary critical infrastructure is the cellular DAS going out, or their private radio system going out. And I just was in Texas earlier this week, actually yesterday, and they're looking at it from a manufacturing perspective, being able to communicate through a very large multi-million square foot facility. Comms go down, that interrupts business. So the use case is really all over the place. But the other flip side of this, Carrie, is these properties are exposed and don't know it. These systems aren't working when they're supposed to be. So we're really trying to educate the market, educate the contractors out there, the property owners, jurisdictions, that, hey, this is a better way to do this.
So you've developed and launched some new technologies. One is a 3D modeling software. And is it Gugli IQ? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's part of that. So Gugli IQ is now almost like a central station, acting as a central station. So we're pulling data over the cloud and being able to do two things with it: push those notifications to where they're supposed to go, but also from the visual side, Some markets might think it's overkill. Some markets are adopting it, but you can walk into a very large building, 60-story high rise, and you can walk up to the security maintenance desk and you can see real time what those health are. So we partnered up with a very close partner of ours with this 3D software, and that's taking the model of the building. It's taking our design from our probes and our sensors. It's taking the contractor's Ivy Wave design or whatever design they're using and being able to model that in a 3D atmosphere where there's real-time data. So not only are you getting alerts, but if your ISPs, your networks out of those buildings cut, you're able to still go on site as a first responder and see, okay, where are my holes? Where are my gaps? Where could there be a risk with comms?
This is fantastic, Dan. How long have you been creating this concept? And
it's been a journey, and I look back and I can't believe it's been as long as it's been. In 2018, 2019 is when we got our patents issued because of a mandate that came out that nothing existed. And so we happened to win a project with my prior company that required this. And so it really forced us down to do two reasons. One, back away from a product that doesn't exist. Or two, let's see this opportunity if we can create it. So this has been around, you throw COVID in there, that probably deletes about 2 years of development. I was still part of a prior company that was still through the exit, but fully 2 years prototypes, software development, the fun and also the hard part of it all is you're developing this, you're realizing other areas and other gaps to fill. You talk to these fire marshals, you find out different nuances that they would like to see. So it's evolving constantly. So let's look at our product line now and what we have on the horizon for Q3, Q4 this year. It's exciting because we're now taking that technology and kind of providing more IoT over this fire code at not much more of a cost, but so much more insight to their properties. So the ROIs are there, the efficiencies are there. So that's really where we're at. But it's been a journey, Carrie. Filing patents to where we have some interest globally, with different reasons why they're looking at these needs. We're fully launched now. Pilots are in. We're deploying in a lot of projects commercially now. But it's been a long journey, but a fun one. And, product and hardware and taking software to market's been a new venture for me in general.
Well, you have a big purpose. So now you also launched another technology that uses AI and blockchain. What is that?
Yeah, so we're looking at this even farther down the road. Right now, we're solving kind of phase one, step one of we see this market going. If you look a little bit farther down, we've in the middle right now of launching some pilots with our permitting and blockchain side of these fire life safety systems. So the other half of my career was submitting for these projects to be deployed. You can see a lot of deficiencies there. It takes 6 weeks to get these red lines back. You could have a different reviewer that's saying something different now. And that creates a lot of tension between the contractor and the building owner because of that missing component. And so what we're doing now is creating this blockchain AI permit review program that can take what takes 4 to 8 weeks, depending on where you're at, of approvals and minutes. And the idea behind that is now it's going to free up the resources that are already constrained inside these permitting and inspections. It's going to give it more streamlined that this is exactly there's no gray areas of what the code is saying and what needs to be deployed. But it's also allowing this blockchain to see real-time status, where it's at in the process, what's taking the long. And then the other flip side coming from the Leaf Communications days is we would come into a new market, primarily West Coast. Florida would call us up, a client would take us in there, and we'd have to relearn the code, relearn what they needed there. So now you can have this ability as a partner or of a client or a project that takes you across the country. And now you have this capability of asking, what's that code there? And it's not really any burden to the jurisdiction of somebody new coming in, but just allows them to understand that code, provide them the ability to design these systems, make sure it meets the code that's enforced there. And the ultimate piece of that is now the front end's checking exactly what's deployed. Gugli's out in the hardware side of it, and now you can look at automating these things instead of these annual compliance that I've talked about probably exhaustingly.
You are also expanding globally. I want to hear more about that. I think the UAE, Australia, Europe. Have you seen anything that is, let's say, unique to those markets in the way of use cases? And what are you learning from this expansion?
Yeah, what I've learned, one, generally everybody needs public safety and the ability to communicate. As you go into these different countries, you're seeing different reasons why they're looking at it. When we started doing our patents, we did a lot of filing globally into a lot of these markets because we saw that advantage. If you look in the US, unfortunately, we target first responders for very select reasons, whether it's just communications, school shootings, unfortunately, that's the world we live in. If you go to Europe, it's a little bit different reasons. They have Martin's Law. They're more focused on a large body of group of congregated folks, making sure that there's alerts there. If you look in the UAE, they're interested in temperature and monitoring. So now they can identify where is this fire at in these high rise that would take 4 hours to now. So they're looking at it from a property loss prevention, still having that communication piece of it, but they want to know we can locate, 7 minutes faster than a smoke detector. Where's that at what level, what floor, and gives them a little bit more insight. So it's all related around the same concept, but a little bit different as we go into these different markets globally.
Now, I know company culture and people have always been a high priority for you, Dan. Tell me about the culture that you're building at Gugli.
It's an exciting one. It's always been a few models I've kept near and dear to my heart, and that's really hire that character and then train that skill set. I've said it for a long time. If you do that, then you get the right team put in place, and then you can put the right processes in place. So the culture we're building is going to be fast. I mean, we're looking at hiring a very good amount of people in the next 12 months. It's a little bit different than what I've done in the past. It's more manufacturing. It's our headquarters in San Marcos, Texas now, that we'll be deploying a lot of QA technical side. It's a little bit different model, but what we want to drive is just feel that excitement with a purpose, be able to get up in the morning, get excited about what you're accomplishing, and being able to see the momentum and the adoption of a market we think we're trailblazing that's never really been done before.
What about the long-term vision? I mean, you're expanding globally. You've created all this new technology. You've done so much in such a short period of time. What's the vision in 5 years, 10 years out?
It's really easy. If anybody's going to a site, they have the access to see what their systems are doing with maybe some more intelligence into the system. Whether it's an alarm at the elevator shaft, that not to get off from the fire departments there, but being able to automate these, that at any given point, the health of these systems. And that's going with the watch commander getting on site with his tablet, being able to have insight into that, being able to cross-reference the permitting, what equipment's being deployed, making sure that it's the correct code required equipment. And then being able to streamline this to where it isn't such an exhausting effort to the property to maintain, to be able to understand, get the right partner to deploy the right system. It should all be automated. So we're looking at this where software can help a lot of this take place. It's where it's going. There's a reason why all these data centers are being built everywhere. It's because it has to manage these cloud aspects. And if we take advantage of that technology and what we're doing, you can replace this system that is broken, in our opinion, where these are deployed and forgotten about. And there's probably thousands of systems out there that are red tagged, not working, with this investment that the property level they had to put in to be able to get occupancy. And so that long-term vision is being able to address that, provide that solution, and give this tool to the contractors out there to manage their properties a lot better with less effort.
So Dan, how can we learn more about Gugli and also about all the open roles that you have coming up?
Yeah, so you can go to our website at gugli.com. You can also email out to monitoring@gugli.com. Otherwise, you can reach out to us however you can, LinkedIn. We're going to be posting a lot of our careers and job opportunities over the next 3 months as we hire through this next phase. We're building out our headquarters now, so that's taken some time. But reach out any way you can. We're going to start looking for some opportunity, and we're excited about maybe bringing a new excitement to some of the space that seems a little bit stagnant lately. So happy to receive any opportunity that's, of any interest.
Dan, thank you for coming on the show. I just enjoy all of our conversations, and I know that everything that you have in your vision is going to happen, and you're going to make a massive impact on the world and make the world a safer place. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Carrie. It's always a pleasure.
Take care.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in to Let's Get Digital. This podcast is powered by Broadstaff, a national staffing firm specializing in digital infrastructure talent. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and join me next time as we explore more stories at the intersection of technology, talent, and transformation. Until then, let's get digital.